We sort of follow a movement, if you will, as human beings. Hello, Transurfer, and welcome to TransurfingTV and my video on the generational shift. This is a huge topic in the transurfing modality regarding an induced transition or the induced transition. And I am really seeing a lot of generational shifting happening right now because it's just sort of the way that our reality moves when there's some sort of dramatic event. The older generation likes to grab on to whatever evidence they can pull from their reality to support their theory that the whole thing's going to hell in a handbasket, right? But the thing here is, and this is why I'm giving this video today, it can affect you even if you're younger because there is an influence from the older generation and we need to still safeguard ourselves a little bit even if we do not necessarily believe that it's all going to hell. But before I get started, my reprogramming sticker giveaway, if you want to join, like this video and comment in the comment section below. I love reality transurfing and I will send you a nice stack of these if you win. I'm pulling lots and lots and lots of names. Watch my video on guilt and I think it was guilt and I can't even remember. Selfishness, sorry, guilt and selfishness. And if you joined, I called all the names in that video, so please check it out because I need your addresses to ship the stickers to. So with that, I will get into my little talk on the generational shift. So what is the generational shift exactly? What does that mean? Well, what that means is that we sort of follow a movement, if you will, as human beings, starting at birth, like our first signs of awareness or our understanding of the world, our perception of the world. And then like probably teenage years, we start applying importance to things and all of a sudden life actually starts looking different to us. So what happens is, I will do a little drawing here so maybe we can break it down in kind of a reality transurfing basic concept sort of way. So you got your lifelines, right? And when you're born, or let's say when you first start to really be aware of the world, when does that happen? Probably about like 5 years old. So things seem really cool, right? For the most part. I know I've talked on this subject and some people said, well, my childhood wasn't cool. And you know what? There were some parts of my childhood that wasn't cool either, but use your imagination here. If you had a traumatic childhood, there must have been some part of it that was cool, like your first taste of ice cream or your first time seeing a rainbow or your first time petting a puppy and all that kind of stuff. So when we're about, 5, 6 years old, we're kind of on a high lifeline, right? We view the reality around, or the environment around us as sort of limitless. We're not yet aware of the limits our environment is to place on us in the very near future. So we're sort of just living life in the moment. Like I said, you're eating your ice cream, you're seeing the rainbow, you're seeing the butterfly, you're seeing the puppy, and you're feeling pretty good because the world hasn't really smacked you down yet, right? So you go through your childhood, and when you hit probably like high school age, then the pressure starts to mount, right? Maybe your parents start talking about college or what you're gonna do for a living, or you get your first sweetheart and all of a sudden their intentions are coming to the situation, right? So then all of a sudden your perspective shifts from yourself, your relationship to your environment, the magic in your life, and you start becoming preoccupied with pendulums, the intentions of others, and your importance levels start to elevate, okay? So what happens when importance levels start to elevate is that our attention gets shifted from our present moment, our external environment, tuning in to the world as we did when we were this child, and we start focusing on the pendulums that are manipulating or controlling our importance levels. Again, this is professional endeavors. This is family putting pressure on you to get married and have kids, or needing to get a car, needing to buy a house, doing all the things that adults do. So your attention becomes immersed in this outer screen, if you will. So if you're looking at it from the Tufte perspective, when you're this child here, you're in the center screen. You're not too preoccupied with your own mind, and you're not preoccupied with your outer screen, the intentions of others, pendulums, all that stuff. You're sort of in the center screen. That's why you can go out into the play yard and play by yourself for an hour and be so happy and so relaxed and satisfied and feel joy, that childlike joy, right? Then the pendulums come in, they start having their say, and you get pulled away from this center screen into the outer screen. Now, what happens with that is your perception of reality actually starts to dull, right? Colors aren't as vivid. Things don't taste as good. Things don't seem to have as much meaning. You don't have as much consistent joy. Things just start to tone down in their joyous nature and not look as good as when you were up here. So how can we get back to that place? Well, getting back in touch with the child part of yourself. And I know my boyfriend thinks that I'm a little bit of a weirdo because I act like a kid a lot. I act like a kid. I rediscover things, right? I rediscover fascinations with things outside, nature, animals. I feel like I'm sort of discovering things again for the first time. And this helps me stay tuned into this version of me and remain in my center screen rather than me focusing overtly on the worldly things that all adults tend to over focus on. So what happens then after these teenage years and this adulthood? Well, the older adult starts to become more and more dissatisfied with life. And the reason that they become more dissatisfied with life is because there are now expectations. So when you were a kid, you had no expectations because you didn't know what to expect. You didn't know what there was. You didn't know what was good. You didn't know what was bad. You didn't know anything about reality. So everything was a discovery. Everything was, just like I said, tasting that ice cream, right? You didn't have an expectation. Now you could ask an older person, do they like the ice cream? And they might say, I've had better, right? The reason that they say that is because they have built expectations of what they perceive to be as good in their mind. And if it doesn't match their expectations, then they're dissatisfied. Well, this happens with virtually everything. It happens with romantic relationships. That's the person that's bitter. It happens to people that don't achieve the success that they want in their lives. It happens with personal relationships, friendships. All people are, a disappointment or whatever. It happens with the government, right? People chastising the government and putting the government down, or putting religion down, or putting something down. It's because they are bringing their expectation to the scenario, and then reality is not matching their expectation, so they decide that reality is not good anymore. So that's why we have really upset older generation. But when they were a kid, they were here. And when this child gets to that older age, they will most likely be that. But here's the cool thing with reality transurfing. Now that you have this information, you can allow yourself to return back to this place. And again, this is done via lowering expectations, lowering importance levels, staying tuned in to the center screen, pulling yourself away from the external screen, which is external stimuli, professional stuff, relationship stuff, all that stuff, and pulling yourself away from your own internal screen too. Overthinking, right? Over analyzing the hell out of everything, all of that stuff. So this is a pretty vast topic. I'm sort of summing it up now. If you want to go back and reread Generational Shift and keep yourself tuned in to this place. And then also remember that an older person that is dissatisfied with life just doesn't have this knowledge. So if you're living with a parent or somebody that's older and you're taking care of them and they're very unhappy with the way that things are right now, don't get sucked into that pendulum. Realize that they don't have this knowledge and it might be a little bit too late for them to reverse out of it, because you have to have the intention to reverse out of it. So if you think you are going into a generational shift, back up on out of it, right? Become this child again, lower the importance levels, start tasting ice cream again like you're tasting it for the first time. When you see a rainbow, don't take it for granted. Look at it like you're seeing it for the first time. And taking steps in the direction of this younger version of you, totally satisfied with reality, will help you fuse to that version of reality. So this is my talk on the generational shift. Remember, like this video and comment below. I love reality transurfing to win some of these stickers, y'all. See you next video. Bye.